Okay. Here we are. HeartMath Experience Introduction Team as part of the Community Development Team Group. It is the day after election, 11/5/2020. Gail, Judith, and I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for being part of the team. And today we wanted to jump in and really take a look back at 2 weeks ago when we did our first messy, beautiful introduction using the HeartMath experience. We learned a lot. Some of you contributed and were players in the delivery of that. Others of you were role modeling, being participants. And a couple of you may not have even been on the call at all. So we're going to take a few and talk a little bit about that. In agile terms, or in the new age of project management, they would call it a retrospective. And it's an opportunity to tune in and learn a little bit about what worked, what we could do better, and what we might apply next time we do this. Now, before we do that, we got about 6-8 of us on the call. We'd like to just get us connected and start talking. So we're going to do a breakout session. Again, purpose exercise. Purpose exercise in this particular model of appreciative inquiry is always a generative question around why is it important or meaningful for you to ... be on the call today, . So in this point, I'm going to ask you to grab a pen. It's just going to be a quick connection of 2 minutes with each other. And write down, if you would, the answer to the question. We came up with a good one. I have to look at it to remember. Why is this HeartMath experience introduction format and your ability to deliver it well? Why is that meaningful or important to you? So why is the format or the model important to you? And why is being able to deliver it well matter? Just make a couple of notes, just enough to freestyle with your partner. You're each going to have 2 minutes. And then we're going to hit the 60-second countdown. And in that 60 seconds, we're going to ask you to stop the share and just share anything that inspired you or you appreciated with your partner about something they said, or even something that came out of your mouth you were surprised by. So I'm going to set up the breakout room real quick. Let's just see how many people we got. 8. So we're going to do 4 rooms of 2. We're going to assign that automatically. That means I'm going to be in with one of you. If you, let's see, Martin, I'm going to join you after we open up the room. All right, friends, so 2 minutes. I'll send a reminder to switch in 2 minutes. Why is it important and meaningful, this format and your ability to deliver it? We'll see you back in the room in a couple minutes. Look for the big button. It's going to be popping up in your screen. Enjoy your breakout rooms. We'll catch you in just a second.
Here we are.
Sorry.
Welcome back, friends. Hey.
Sorry, we lost Martin. What'd you do with Martin, Steve?
What'd I do with him? What do you mean?
Oh my God. Oh, it must be me.
I guess we would like to, when you're saying you would like to hear from 1, 2, 3 people, we'd like to hear what your experience was like, is what she's saying, right?
My experience or Martin's?
Both of you together.
Okay, great.
How did it go?
I'd like to hear from 1, 2, or 3 of us, including myself. What was your experience like? What did you dig about that session? Well, thanks for calling on me, Steve. I'd love to share that. Sorry, my ridiculous gets in the way sometimes.
Brilliant.
Let's just do others first, and I promise I will share. Who else would like to share? What was cool about that? Anything you want to share about just that breakout or anything that inspired you? Cheryl, did you have your hand up? Cheryl.
Sorry, I'm still laughing. I was with Elaine. I'm still laughing. And the question of, why is HeartMath experience and the delivery so meaningful to you? And it's her beautiful love and belief in HeartMath and wanting to experience it, would share it with as many people as possible. She called the HeartMath experience. I said, why particularly the HeartMath experience? Because that was the question. So I said to her, why particularly the HeartMath experience? And so what she said, she called it because it's the power package. She came up with this. It's the power package. It's the way she believes that you're gonna, the most powerful way to take the message to as many people you know, to more people as you can in an easy, clear way. So, so I'm still laughing with joy of how much she believes in this and what it's based on. It was beautiful. So,
That is really cool.
the
So
power
thank you for
package.
sharing that. By the way, 15 minutes in, that last little thing you just explained, that's worth mining out of this video to say like that little one-liner or those two-liners, crowdsourcing those in the hub, you know, with each other and saying, that's beautiful, the power package and the ability to. And so, Cheryl, thank you. So, oh my gosh, so many things happening right now. Okay, who else? Who had their hand up? Gail, over to you.
I was with Laura, and she articulated it so perfectly that she kind of speaks for me too. But her point was that it's such an important time right now. Coherence is so important right now, and to be able to deliver that message and deliver it well is just as important right now. And the personal experience and the personal practice and the embodiment of the coherence practice is something that needs to be shared. That's where the passion and enthusiasm comes from, is your own knowledge and experience with it yourself, and then being able to use this, you know, this beautiful power package is cherry on top. You know, that's the best. So
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. Let me turn it over. Let's get the gallery view. One more quick share. What was cool about that exercise, or anything you want to appreciate about your partner, or anything like that? Anybody's? Okay. Then I'll jam. Okay. There's two things I'll share. The thank you for asking, and what I loved most about that, and was Martin and I, between talking about having a next step for someone. You know, he'll do the stress and well-being assessment, but then how do you really add some value and follow on? Part of it is like the gift inside, right? Like, you know, you remember when you used to get an ice cream pop, there's a gift inside or something like that. Like, this is part of it. We get to give this gift regardless of whether people go anywhere or not. So whether you've given it to them before, or whether, you know, they've seen it before, this is part of being able to gift. And in the gift economy, it's a beautiful thing to lead with. The second part of it is it makes it super accessible, because people can see it and get a taste of what the gift is, and that's going to drive them to go and check it out. The third part, I think, was that I told Martin, I get to lean on the expertise of others, specifically like a roll in with science. That science bit's not my best part of introducing HeartMath. And so if I can leverage beautiful pieces of rich content, it validates not only the work, the organization, and so many other things. So that's a big part of what was most meaningful to me. And Martin and I just talked about how important it is to use this for soft introductions, to add value, but to also to really give people a way to not only understand how generous and generative we're being with this is here for you, and then it's on us to explain and presence the power of an individualized journey, where it's all applied to your unique life. That's the great art that comes after this introduction. So I want to just acknowledge Neil joined us from Australia. Neil, thanks for jumping in, man. Appreciate it. Hey, man, feel free to unmute. There you go.
Had trouble with the password. I couldn't find it. But anyway.
Sorry about that, mate. I appreciate you being here. So what we've done, we just had a breakout session that you're coming in. We may do one at the end too. I'm only here for about another 10 minutes, and I jump, but Gail and Judith are going to continue on stewarding the call. Just come on in hot, Neil, and listen like jazz. So we were just acknowledging why not only using the HeartMath introduction experience to introduce people was important or meaningful, but why having some ability to deliver it well was important. And that's what we got into and just shared in the breakout room. Before I go into just opening up a little retrospective about what we learned and dug for those that are here from the first walkthrough, we did a really messy walkthrough. It was beautiful. It was so much better than any of us expected, with 6 or 7 of us last 2 weeks back. Before I get into that, I will share this. The nature of the purpose question and the power of doing that early, especially in this HeartMath, is exactly what we experienced. So that question, why is it important or meaningful for you to ... can be taken in a million directions. Why is having greater resilience during these challenging times important or meaningful to you? One way, right? Why is living from heart in these times of great tension important or meaningful to you? Like, you could take it anywhere you want to go. So just know that that's a really powerful way to get people connected if you can street level that question in the first 10 minutes of the call. Okay. Questions, comments, anything else before we jump into some feedback from last week? And then I'm going to be handing it over to our team, Gail and Judith. Thoughts, questions, feedback?
Yeah, Steve, I this is not time to have a huge discussion about it, but I think that the science support very much what the HeartMath Institute is doing, and all these heart lock breathing, and maybe not the coherence or the irradiating, but even the good feelings or the appreciations feelings inside now is well known how those is well known how those feelings or thoughts change our brain and our mind function.
Yes.
So I think even the science is supporting us to on the road.
Beautiful. Yes, for sure. And that's why when I was
For those
going,
who are scientists, science people.
Yeah.
No.
and Dolores, it's a good point to just say that, the video, if you play that on the science, a lot of people try to get too deep in the science and it loses people because it's just too heady. But if you can give that street level video, and then you could say, for anyone that wants to see the studies or really, really wants the details, happy to grab a call with you offline, or even send you the Science of the Heart ebook, which is like 100 pages more than you're going to want to know about the science or whatever. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Judith, Gail, anything to add before we kind of do the debrief and hand it over?
Good. I'm good.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. How many of you, show of hands, how many of you were on last week's jam session, our first dry run walkthrough with an audience? Just show of hands. I know that Elaine, Cheryl, Judith, you guys presented. Laura, you were on. Fantastic. Gail, you were on. Excellent. So Laura and Gail, I think, were the only two that didn't present, but you were there. So between the five of us, I'd like to just do a lightning round, rapid fire of anything of just quickly, like, what did you love about it? What did you think really worked well? Rather than like any bad or no judgment, it's more about like, what could be better? What might you improve next time? And the third thing you could answer or respond to is, what did we learn that we can apply? 2 and 3 are similar. So don't worry about getting the question right, but let's just get some feedback from first the presenters. Let's go to Elaine and then Cheryl and then Judith, and then we'll hear from Laura and Gail. So Elaine, why don't you shoot first? Just what you love,
Actually,
what could be better?
while it was happening, I got a little bit emotional because I just got the feeling that whoever was watching it knew. I was trying to feel it from stepping into their shoes and saying, oh my God, say if this was the first time I ever watched this. And even though it was a little bit messy, that's fine, because like everything was in the package and in the right order. I felt it was in the right order, and the presentation was coming from the heart. And I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is it. And I just felt it, and I felt, oh my God, this is great. I just felt proud of everybody. And it was working. It worked, but it's just, to make it a little bit more seamless, integrated. And that will come. That will come. But it was a great first dress rehearsal, I thought. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elaine. I really appreciate that. Let's go over to Cheryl. Cheryl, what did you dig about it? What do you think we can learn to apply next?
So I loved the way it came together and the way it had what I considered to be all the main points, starting from Elaine's intro, which really covered everything. And the way it was coming from her heart, you could see it and you could feel it. So not having shared it before or having had any insight into what she was going to say, I didn't know my segue Do you know what I'm saying? So I had to wait to hear it. And so that was a little rough for me. Like if I would have known her last sentence even, it would have been, but I think, I don't know if it's because Elaine's intro was long. I don't have, did anybody time it? Maybe it's because I was just sitting there waiting to go. You know, each word was, you know, I was waiting for, is this the end yet? Is this the end? Do I go yet? So that's about me, not about Elaine's presentation at all. But I think that perhaps either the intro could have been cut into parts, and maybe we could have gotten an interactive activity somewhere closer to the beginning based on, you know, where Elaine was. So either I would have done a different activity based on where she was, or she would have led us into one that fit in at a certain spot in what she was talking about. I just felt like the first opening one came a little long.
Got it. So there's opening was a little on the long end, and then, you know, we didn't get into an exercise. We did the poll, but we didn't get into like a purpose exercise like we did just there. So it could be that we might want to put that in. So that's a suggestion. Thank you very much, Cheryl, for your feedback and for such a great job to both you and Wayne on there. And Judith, I want to go over to you and ask you to just share, what did you dig about it? What do you think worked? What could be improved? What might we apply next?
I certainly, you know, dug the working together, you know, and in the format that you like set up, you know, just like, hey, we're just going to run with this. Say we just had 30 minutes, you know, that setup that you gave us to like feel free. And what that did is like for the first time, it was like, I didn't work with trying to get it right. You know, the significance of creating something together was gone. And the ease was there. And then the little bit of extra work where I could see, oh, we're going to need a little bit of communication. You know, I went offline. And so I saw the value of the offline work that didn't get, you know, to be too cumbersome for those watching that weren't participating if it were online. And then, you know, and then it's also, Cheryl, you point to the failure of me actually getting in communication, and Elaine and I kept trying and trying because you and I had decided, you know, no, yeah, you and I had decided that there was this line and you were looking for this line and it didn't show up. And so that's just an awareness of like, yep, the breakdowns that happen, you know, if communication breaks down. And then, so I just love to see that come together so quickly, you know, so quickly. And then, you know, it comes to mind, Cheryl, when you were making that suggestion of a breakout, if we were to do something a little bit differently, I know, Elaine, your words and it was tearful for me too. And at the same time, it was tearful, like in a good way. It was moving. I think that's a better way to describe it, because if someone else were watching it, we don't want to cause tears, but we do want an emotional connection to it. And I think that there's maybe some places that we could take out to keep sharpening that emotional connection and have it be a little shorter so it doesn't occur like we got to do a breakout. And because you're pretty close to Cheryl when you come in with a breakout. But what it does occur for me is that, oh, you know how so many organizations were teaching us there for a while, icebreakers. I mean, there's so many fun icebreakers that we might do a heart connection icebreaker. Like there might be some fun way that we say your name, you know, that might suffice for like this sense of we need to, you know, like if people are in this nice emotional mood, how about you introduce your name with a last name that's totally different, connected to what you just heard, as an example that just came off the top of my head. So that's my experience.
I love it. You know, it's really cool. Those icebreakers are really great. I did a program with Larry King, and he's like, here's the top 100 icebreakers I've used across my life. I think my favorite was like, if you were a yacht, what would your name be? Right? Like, or something like, so, you know, target to heart or something like that would be fun. So before I go, because it's 30, my call's in 35, I did my practice with this next person of starting 5 minutes of the hour for rest, for bathroom or water or whatever. So I'm going to use 2 minutes of that to set it up and then hand it back over to Gail and to Laura to share. Here's what I want to share before I jump. Loved the feedback that each of you provided. All of it was really powerful between, you know, that, oh, I hate it when I can't read my notes. Anyway, all of that feedback that you could listen to in the first 20 to 25 minutes of the session. was worth pulling out. One of the things that Gail and I and Judith have talked about is we're going to create a session outline. So imagine an Excel doc that says, here's the segment, here's the video that you use, here's where you start and stop it, here's a couple of comments of key points you would make within that. You could have a section for who's presenting it, because whether one person does the whole thing or whether you pass it back and forth, that's where you say this segment should take 7 minutes. So it's basically a structured way for a call to keep you on track, whether it's individually or as a team, and to remind you, help guide you through that. So Gail's going to do a first riff on that, just building the outline. And then we'll ask all of you guys to crowdsource what, for your own part, where were the start and stop times, what would the estimate be, and just know it's a first iteration. It's not about perfection. It's just starting to build a tool that each of us could keep to say, here's the outline, here's exactly what to do. And then of course you can always bend it accordingly, but that's the thing that's coming. So I just wanted to share that'll be coming. Gail will be sharing this probably with the follow-ups. And if we're able to, here's another thing. Gail and I have had a conversation about taking minutes within calls. It's not her superpower. It's not mine either. I do a pretty good job, but then I can't interpret my notes afterwards. So if there's anybody that's really good or loves it, or it's a passion area for them to take minutes, anytime you're on a call and you'd be willing to, please reach out to Gail and just send a message and say, or to Gail and Judith and say, I'd be happy to be a scribe for this call, just to grab the nuggets, the little things that come out. Because it's so often that we don't have the time to go back and watch the whole video to mine those pieces out. So want to just put that out as an invitation with no expectation, okay? All right, I'm about to jump. I want to turn it over to Laura and then to Gail to share what was your experience as a participant in that.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
So I've got it recording, so it'll keep recording when you leave, and we won't be disconnected, correct?
And Steve, before you leave, notice Andrea's here. Hi, Andrea.
Andrea.
Hey, Andrea. It's good to have you on the call. Gail and Judith are going to be stewarding the call. I'm going to be jumping off in a second, and we're in the feedback round from the first session. And we heard from the speakers. Now we're going to hear from Laura, who was acting as a participant, which she did a great job on that, kicking the tires and challenging the process, Laura. And then from Gail, who was also not one of the presenters. So I want to tell you how much I appreciate all of you. I'm going to leave the meeting without stopping the meeting, hopefully. And I'll catch you all in 2 weeks. And hopefully between now and the time the session's over, you decide whether you want to present again next week. And if some of you want to be those presenters or whatever the plan is, but I trust in you beautiful people to figure out what's next. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you. And I'll catch all of you guys in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Gail.
Thanks,
Judith.
See you later.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Hey. So I'm looking on the screen. Elaine's intro was extremely powerful and moving, and I think that really leads into the section. I have a dog here that's very needy. So that was a really powerful beginning, and it really captured everybody to get in to understand what was going to happen. I think the information that was excavated out of the videos, I think it was all the most pertinent information that could be presented. So I thought that was great. The transitions, they weren't seamless, but why would they be? Because it was the first go round and it was messy and fun. And I think to Cheryl's point, if everybody knew the last line or the code word or whatever, for the transition, I think that would help everybody to do that. And probably maybe time wrapping each section. Murphy, that is my dog,
Stop
sorry.
making so much noise, Martin. Come on.
This dog hasn't gotten enough love today. So anyway, if we time wrapped the section so everybody had a specific amount of time to present, would be helpful for everybody. But I thought it went really well for the first go round.
Yeah. Okay. I was not a participant, but I was part of the planning. So I agree with what everybody's been talking about. But I looked at it from a different vantage point. even though it was a presentation by multiple people, I looked at this as something that we're setting up so that an individual could actually do this on their own in their own business, and you don't have to recruit other certified professionals to help you with it unless that's what you want to do and partner up with people, which is fine. But I looked at it as each person took a piece so that we could throw this together really fast. And that what's really going to end up happening is you're going to take these pieces and put it together and present it yourself. And so my church, the Unity Church that I go to, I've proposed already, and I'm hoping that we're going to be really ready to go by January. I proposed at the first part of the year that I do a 1-hour intro to HeartMath. That everybody is invited to join me on Zoom for, that it's interactive, that it's going to give them, all kinds of information, and they're going to get to learn a practice and all of this stuff. So I'm hoping that the next iteration will show me how much easier this is going to be. And I think that we need to think about somewhere before the end of the year, if we can pull it off without the holidays, being a problem, having some person volunteer to do the full presentation all by themselves to see how those transitions work and how well that comes together, which sounds frightening to me to do it for my peers, but I'm not as frightened to do it for my church, oddly enough. But that I just thought, keep that in mind when you're seeing these pieces come together, that it could very well be just one person, you, presenting, and see what you think then. So,
Yeah.
Judith.
Take it away. Well, usually it's ladies first. And so in this case, I think the gentleman should go first. Oh, Martin, would you like to do it all the way through by yourself? Sorry, you're the only gentleman.
Well, I think we're going to still do a group effort next time, just to,
Yeah, I wasn't putting him on the spot. I was.
That's
just,
okay.
You are.
We'll twist his arm later.
Yeah, we over Zoom. We're really good at that. You should see what we do, Gail and I. But Gail, I'll say this versus offline because other people might have this as a value. You mentioned the church and presenting that. One of the things I've done at a Unity church too, I was asked to introduce HeartMath, was I grabbed a Bible, Bible verses, because there's so many that talk about the heart. And let's talk
like
about
2,000 times, I think it's mentioned or something.
What you say that Jesus spoke of, or whether you say the Bible spoke of, and then you bring it home, like you had, like I would say all the time, you had the ruby slippers all the time. You have all of these promises of the heart from the Bible, and let me show you how you really got it, and then you give them HeartMath. So
did anybody who was not on the call actually watch the replay or video of the last meeting when we did our messy dress rehearsal? Has anybody watched that? Andrea, did you have a chance to watch it?
Only told me yesterday.
I know, but I thought maybe you were feeling really motivated to watch it before you came today.
I was hoping just to figure out what was going on quietly.
Well, I was just curious. Did anybody else who was not here 2 weeks ago watch the video and see what they think? Because we got feedback from everybody who was on the call last time. But Ruth, I see you joined us.
Yes, I'm sorry to be late, but glad
That's
to
okay.
be here.
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
And we're
I
loose and easy.
I was on the last call, so I did give some feedback then.
Why don't you give us your feedback now for this? Because we're all just kind of talking about what might have been better, what impressions you had, what you liked about it, what you would see improvement.
I thought it was packed with lots of good stuff, and the thought that I had, because I had been thinking about doing it myself too, is it was maybe too much for an hour. That
really, but it ended up being an hour.
I know. It just felt like it was a lot, And I know with having the two breakouts and not giving those the full time, that when we're doing it as individuals or partnering up or whatever, we might need to think about the audience, even if the intro, you might even want to break it into two segments, but just have one shorter intro too. So again, I thought it was packed with great stuff, and just trying to think, would I be able to pull all of that off in an hour myself? So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, so you think that there's a chance that you could reduce the size of that and either expand, do it slower so that it fills an hour, or are you talking about maybe doing a half-hour session?
Yeah, both. Maybe if it was an hour, would I be able to fit all that in? But if I didn't have an hour, and I didn't go back and think this through, what pieces might be the essential pieces.
Yeah.
And put it
Well, the
into
nice thing
how-
is when it's all put together, you get to really kind of customize it for yourself any way you want. But we're
That's
just
right.
trying to come up with something that everybody
No,
has a
I
good
thought
starting place. Yeah.
It had it covered everything that I thought you could put in an hour. So that was great.
Awesome.
Cheryl? You're
I love the comment that Ruth made. So I have two questions from that. One is, because I'm having this time problem here. Did we say how much time at the beginning before we started we wanted this presentation to be? Because if I did, and again, I don't mean that Elaine should cut a thought from her thing, but if I had an hour and a half, and I'm sure if Elaine wasn't reading it exactly from her thing, it would have taken her longer to give that piece too. So the difference between reading what you wrote and saying it and watching the audience and maybe having a minute for an interaction would not make that presentation be an hour, even though we had little glitch moments in there. So my question is, because I agree with Ruth, this, Gail, you said it fit in an hour, but you're right, we didn't follow through on parts of the exercises that we're learning how to do to get more interaction. And I thought that the perfect time for what we came up with is 90 minutes. And I thought that was the difference between, other than that we're using the HeartMath Experience video, it was the difference between this and the Lunch and Learn, who only wants it to be 30 to 45 minutes. So that's different. What we can include there, as Ruth is saying, is very, very different. So I didn't recall if we had a particular goal when we started in terms of.
I think that the first iteration we said was going to be about an hour, but I don't know that we said it has to be an hour. And plus, when you actually are in it with participants, who knows how much chatting is going to go on.
That's exactly right. So I thought this was really a 90-minute presentation because we didn't have those kinds of things happening that we would, whether it was in person with a group or even online. That's all I'm saying.
Judith, what do you think?
I do think that you make points that it'll go longer. And I'm thinking it needs not to go longer, but I think we'll get into that. Kind of moves us right into our next section about how do you see us using this approach, intro and format? Because I'm wondering if people are going to do this as a free and encourage you to get to the HeartMath Experience, which, hey, by the way, now is free. Do you really want to give an hour and 90 minutes? And we're all generous on this call. I know that. So it's just a question of whether this one is one of those things that you want to do for 90 minutes when what you're promoting is that they get to the HeartMath Experience. I'd like to see it being accomplished. Like you said, we can shape it as we want. I like to see it get accomplished in 30 minutes, not necessarily see it go 90 minutes. That's my thought.
I agree, Judith, because 90 minutes, we are giving away a lot of information and if you leave something for them to want to come back to learn or share with them, I think that the little bit shorter, the better.
So the question is are we keeping the same amount of time that's spent in the HeartMath experience clips, which is kind of the whole purpose of doing a HeartMath experience intro. Do we keep all of those clips and shorten other things, or shorten some of that too?
Can I just speak just from somebody who's worked a lot in video? I was
Yeah.
a TV news reporter, and Gail and I know about this, about each other. And clips have to be short. And I just put out a little video on our hub, and I looked back at it and I thought, my clips are too long. And they were 30 seconds each. I put like 7 of them. And I still looked at it again and thought, I could have taken 10 seconds more off of it. There was still some extraneous stuff that was beyond the point I needed to make. That oftentimes we look at a clip and it's like, oh, that sounds so good, but can the clip say it in a shorter amount of time? Because I do think you lose people in long clips. People have very short attention spans.
Sound bites. Sound bites.
Sound bites.
That's what we're looking for, is sound bites. Yeah, I think that depends on the situation. I mean, this is a introduction to HeartMath using the HeartMath experience as the purpose. So the question is, how much time are we going to devote to the clips? Are they full little segments?
I was just going to say, there is one that I ran. I think it's close to 4 minutes, if not a little
Yeah.
longer. That's the one I was thinking could be cut back. There's
Okay.
That's part of the showing up inside of let's just get it done, you know?
Right.
Like, I didn't take time to like sort that out, and I know it could be sorted out just as
Yeah.
Andy was suggesting.
Okay, so we should consider shortening the clips.
I was thinking, like, when I saw that they were absolutely perfect. So people maybe can shorten them themselves after when they're doing their presentations, but all the information, I think the relevant information was there. So like if people want to shorten their own presentations, maybe that's up to them.
Yeah. I think that's the point of the whole thing, but we have a starting point. But if we're going to come up with something that is a general guideline, that's the final guideline that we hand out to the community, they can still do what they want to it. But the question is, do we want to shorten it so they don't have to do so much? I don't know.
As a poll, just a minute, Cheryl, as an informal poll. How many, because I don't think we should make it 90 minutes if we really don't think we should be
right. That's right.
How many think we should just make one that's an hour and then let people make those shortenings? Or we do, okay. Hour? Yeah. Martin, what about you?
An hour's long enough, I think, with short clips.
It would be nice, if what we could do is come up with a 1 hour, and then, you know how in yoga, Andrea knows this because she's a yoga instructor. I noticed that when I'm doing yoga and they'll say, and there's a modification here. If you can't do this, you can do it this way. So we would have a 1 hour complete presentation with mods to shorten it to this from here to here, or to put in brackets apart you could lift out so that it can be adjusted to a shorter length according to the needs of the presenter.
Nice.
Yeah.
So my suggestion was exactly between the two of you. I think, so if we've already decided 1 hour that we're going to make a 1 hour presentation, now we should go back to each of the pieces and give it an appropriate time. And then that would help us decide in each piece what could realistically fit in the time, so we could present to the rest of HeartMath a realistic 1 hour thing. And then we could absolutely put in, if you have more time, you could do this, or you could do it in that way also. But I think if we start out with this grid and do it that way from what we have now, then maybe the whole thing of Elaine's will fit in there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we don't have to cut anything by going through the time slots. That's how I think we should proceed. Yeah.
One of the things that Judith and Steve and I talked about before we came on was having another group do the presentation. Are there other folks who would like to take a piece of this and do, okay, Andrea, awesome.
They're
Is there
still
an-
people.
or is that a question? Is that a volunteer or a question? Okay. So let me write this down here.
Well,
So we
but
have basically the
before the-
pieces.
Okay, I was going to say before that, what's crossing my mind, and is she in South Africa? I know she's she's not here today, but she seemed to always have some tips about the marketing part of it. And
Are you
so-
referring to Marie?
Yes, I think it is. Marie.
She's actually, I think, from Australia.
Australia,
Marie
thank you.
Zimney, yeah.
But,
So
but my point is just to bring her thought in today's meeting, since she isn't present today, is do we want to do some assessment of what pieces that we have already are the ones that really are eye-catching or will raise curiosity so that they will want to proceed to the next step.
Can I
Is
add
the
something,
introduction.
Ruth? What you said is so interesting because today I read from social media marketing that with any piece that you take, you pull out 10 of your most quotable headlines.
Mm.
And so it's exactly what you're saying. What are the 10, if you were going to promote this, like 10 lines out of this that you would, if you created a social media post, you would use each one differently. Like the first one could be HeartMath experience, blah, blah, blah. The other one could be, are you in your heart? And these are all direct quotes and lines from your presentation that in and of themselves are the promotion lines to get people to watch it. So I think, that's exactly, I think what she would say, and that is like the latest in social media marketing these days is you pick out, again, the sound bites, but they become your leads for the social media marketing for your presentation in 10 different ways, all from the same piece.
So that's excellent. I hadn't heard about that.
I can put that article out. You'd love it because you use an Excel spreadsheet for it. Which is why I hate
that
it.
Obvious.
I found new software to replace an Excel spreadsheet, Andrea, for this.
I hope it's easier to use.
Hey folks, I got a pen. See that? I got a pen and it just died. So I'm just trying to get it. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, do I have any other folks? Let me tell you what we did last time. We had a welcome and introduction, which Elaine did. An opening about the way the world is changing was part of that. We did a Zoom poll on how you're feeling. The depletion renewal grid, the weather report, that part, we had the video of it. We did an exercise on actually filling out the grid. There was a clip for the start in the science of the heart and for strategies of addressing stress. That was the 3 strategies, the shift and reset, the prep, those. Heart focused breathing, power of the practice, and then an invitation to go deeper. And so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different people, each doing a different piece, because it makes it less work if everybody's got a little piece, and then we can throw this together and just redo the presentation, but with the nuances, the changes, the reduction in, length of the clips, etc. And I have to still put together the that spreadsheet that's an outline of what we did to give you as a starting point. But we need 7 people, so I have 1.
I counted 10 sections when I wrote everything down. You said
there were 11. You're very good. You're a great note taker.
Oh, I am. I was a journalist.
You weren't here when we asked for somebody to be a
Oops.
scribe for these meetings.
She wasn't
because
here.
I'm
Andrea, just
a
mute yourself.
horrible note taker. I'm so busy taking notes that I miss everything else that's being
Can
said.
you read these notes?
If all you did was type them up and send them, I'd be a happy camper.
I'll probably be taking this many notes anyway, Gail, so I will offer to help you. And Cheryl, I'm probably pulling out of Lunch and Learn into this. So I just wanted you to understand what has transpired. I really want to do something longer, and Lunch and Learn is back to 20 minutes. And so that's, if, in case any of you wondered, like, why did she show up today? Gail and I had a long talk yesterday.
So in terms of time, can we go back, or can we, because before you give people parts, it would help them if they knew how long their piece was going to be. It will help them to decide what will go in there, what they have to do. Did anybody time what we did last time? Do we have a,
No,
because that's what
I'm
we
gonna-
could say, it felt too long, it didn't feel long enough, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'll tell you what, I will, when I'm putting together the outline, I will go and watch the video and mark that down if that's going to be helpful. Judith, do you think that would be helpful for you?
Yeah.
Did you already have those like time, how long you thought those pieces were going to be when you were putting them together?
The only thing that has time were the videos themselves. You know, that's the only thing that was timed for our first run. Like I know
Okay.
I started the video at this point and I ended at this point, and therefore we know how much time it took.
What about if when we do the next dress rehearsal, we could time it, because maybe it will flow better in time-wise as well, you know, because I'm sure each one of us has been working on what we're doing. So it will actually be more real time and maybe get a better idea of the time, because I've actually shortened my intro as well.
Okay.
So
That approach might be the one, because the idea that we would just begin to arbitrarily, you know, or begin to set
I'm sorry,
time.
Judith, can you get closer? I can't hear you.
Sorry, yeah. I like that idea, because then if now we're thinking from how much time should we give this conversation? That's the way I'd like to see us decide what's worth the time. So I think I don't think you need to necessarily take the time to do that, Gail.
Oh, okay. Instead, well, who's going to
And-
decide that?
And
How
what?
much time needs to be?
We'll be discussing it. You know, we'll have the experience of it.
Okay, I guess I missed. Can we go back and say what Elaine said?
maybe
Yes.
do take two and see how the time works out on that.
Oh, with
Take
the same
two?
group?
Take two.
With the
Yeah.
same group? Okay.
No, she
I-
didn't. She's not saying necessarily with the same group. She's just saying that the outcome of this would have to do with timing. Now we're looking for how much time should we give each segment. So we're just going to run through it. We're going to do the take two with whomever chooses to do it, and we'll discover, oh, we could do that less. Oh, we could do that more, etc. We'll learn from that. Does that make sense, Gail? Did that
Okay.
clarify?
I'm just writing it down. I'm trying to write it down.
So then I think we should have a timer, a person, like a timer, timing
Yes.
each of the segments so that we have an objective measure as well as a subjective one.
Yeah.
But that's great, Judith. That way is probably the best way.
Okay. So we're going to do take two,
And I will.
just as we did.
Gail,
Pardon?
I'll watch your last one.
Okay.
And then I'll just, because I didn't see it at all, and that'll give a different person I might just watch it and just see, did one place flow better or something like that. I'll just do that as a completely new set of eyes, so that you don't have to do it. And I'll keep a timer, and I'll just let you know that I just new set of eyes, no judgment or anything, just,
Okay.
So that you don't have to do it again. I need to do it to catch up with what you guys are doing anyway. And so
Okay.
that way I'll be on a better, and then I'll know when you assign me a part a little bit how that part was said before.
Well, we're not going to assign. We're going to look for volunteers. Like,
Yeah.
who wants this piece? And in fact, let me just share the screen real quick. Can you see this all right? This was how we had it the first time, except I think we flip-flopped the order that some things went, didn't we? Does that help you at all see what the elements were? Okay.
Um,
Can I ask a question about how you individually worked on those pieces? Did you do it in isolation, or did you come together and have little working with each other and bouncing ideas from each other? So, like Elaine, did you prepare
I think we discussed it in a previous meeting, and so then I worked on what I was, doing
but you didn't
for the
come
next
back and
meeting.
say, hey, how does this sound, and get some
Yes.
feedback? Oh, you
There was
did?
a
Yeah.
little of both.
Okay.
There was a little of both.
That makes sense.
Judith, didn't you say that a lot of stuff that you were doing was all in just emails?
a lot of stuff that I was doing was in emails. I don't know.
With each other, you and Cheryl and
Yeah, so I was emailing Elaine and I was emailing Cheryl back and forth. Then Cheryl and I ended up talking. We talked through it for quite a bit of time, seeing the flow. Yeah. Yeah.
And are you shaking your head because talking to me always requires a bit of time, Martin?
But it's easy time. It's pleasurable time.
It's easy on his ears.
I thought we took the poll out. Either we moved it or removed it from between the intro and then us coming in with the weather report, because that really covered how you're feeling, what you're feeling.
yeah, it was still in there, but I don't think it's necessary. I think that,
Did we, Judith? Yeah, okay.
It seems like not quite it, but that's okay.
Yeah, I thought it was changed when I spoke to Judith, that it was changed.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We started out with Cheryl. This is I'd have to find mine. Developing the versus renewing emotions. Cheryl started that exercise. Yeah, it was an exercise. I could look for my email. And then we did the inner weather report. And
Laura, do you remember doing a poll where you answered the question about how you were feeling or anything?
Remember we did do a poll because you guys, I gave you the
that's what
question. I provided the questions, and I'll look for my email.
Yeah, some of the polls don't work the way that we thought they would, and we couldn't ask the questions that we really wanted to because it wasn't.
He turned it into true and false, and they were
That's what it was.
They were all true.
They were all true.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember now. Okay.
But the problem with that is that you weren't really eliciting how people were feeling. You were giving them a 10 and they had to tick some off. Maybe they weren't feeling any of them. So now we still don't have them connected. So I didn't think that was the best way.
The poll wasn't, I mean, originally the poll that was like, how often do you feel this way? And how often do you feel this way? And then you would had your choice of frequently, rarely, never, that kind of thing. And you couldn't set it up that way.
You couldn't. It's
in Zoom. And so he just took the question, and then there was a different set of questions that came, but it wasn't, you couldn't set it up that way. So Steve just hit the true false on the last minute.
Yeah.
So since we couldn't do it the way you wanted to, I suggest we move it or remove it because it flows without it there.
No, this isn't really I could look for the right email, but this doesn't outline what we actually did, because we actually then had, what do you know about the heart? Because we finished with the emotional landscape, weather report ends literally with the heart, the heart's intelligence. And then we said, okay, what do you know about the heart? Let's do a quiz. And they were all true. And that introduced, they were exactly from the next segment, and it introduced the next segment.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seem to flow.
If you can find that'd be great.
I will.
I bet you if I hit, I'm gonna try something here.
I'm gonna let you.
Oh, there it is. It's still here. The heart has its own independent nervous system, true or false? The heart sends signals to the brain's emotional processing center, true or false? And there were like 5 different questions.
And those kind of questions are nice because you know the answer is true, but you want people to to really get the awe of it. Oh my God, the heart has its own nervous system. It's got 40,000 neurons, as Cheryl just explained.
Yeah.
Well, as you know what we're doing there, Andrea, knowing
Right.
being a teacher and
We're
knowing
leading people on is what we're trying to do.
that's your newscast stuff. But as a teacher, you know that there's different intelligences.
Exactly.
And so there are those visuals. So people are seeing it visually first and connecting with it. And then they're going to see it, you know, with pictures on the video, and they're going to hear it, you know, as well. So
I like those questions. I think those are always fun. You want people to, even if they're interacting with the answer you want them to say, it does, you know, wow, really? True? Okay. I didn't know that. It's kind of that awe feeling.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect place for a poll like that. That would fit there for what you did there, going into the science. How much do they know about the science?
So
Perfect.
we've already got your script pretty much determined. If you would like to volunteer to take a piece for this next time, either re-volunteer if you did it last time, or volunteer for the first time.
Yes, yes, I'll do the intro. I'll give it a shot again.
Okay, so Elaine will do the intro again, and Andrea.
I'd rather you give me a part, really.
Okay,
Give me
I
a part
will.
that people don't want.
I'll
Yeah.
get back with you. Anyone
do-
else?
Yeah, I'll do, I don't know. Power of the practice. I don't know why I said that, just because I remembered it.
Okay, well, then there's a reason why you remembered it.
Can I
Anyone
take a
else?
look at the weather report? The
Okay. That was, you mean doing the exercise, which was the depleting versus renewing emotions? And Cheryl did it last time, so we'll all need everybody's, you know, script or whatever you did from last time so that we can share it.
well, I just sent you an email, and the 13 sections are there now.
Awesome, awesome. Okay.
Gail, are you sharing your screen? Because when you talk, I don't see the shared screen.
No, I haven't. I unshared it. You want me to share it again so you can see what those are?
Yeah, so people who want to choose can see what they can choose from, I think.
Oh, there you
Yes,
go.
thank you so much.
Oh, but you know what? Why don't I share my screen? Because those aren't the ones. I just,
Oh,
Right, that's why that's
Thank
why the
you.
confusion is, yeah.
I get you. Okay, hang on. Let me unshare. Are you
shoot.
able to share, or do I have to give you some kind of?
How about you grab the email? How about let's not do this. You grab the email I just sent you, and it's right there. And we don't have to.
Sent me an
Dolores
email.
mentioned she wants to be involved but has to leave. So let's make.
Who is
Dolores,
this?
Are we picking something for you, or are you picking your own?
Just a minute.
Okay, hang on. I got to just move this over to my other screen so that I can share it.
I've got to be careful not to use the word depleting because it reduces the Wi-Fi.
While she's doing that, I just want to make a recommendation, because you folks that did it did so well. And if you would be willing to do your part again, I know that you will have a sense of streamlining it or changing it from having the experience. And then us that didn't do it could fill in the gaps if there was somebody that couldn't do a piece.
Okay.
So that's just
Judith?
a thought.
Judith, how do you feel about that?
I'm okay. Whatever you want me to do. And my parts, please, if you want to do it too. If you want to make it a little larger, can you? Can other people see it?
Yeah,
Can I make it larger? I don't know.
it's okay.
Yes, you can pull down.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Okay.
So who did
I'll reach out to Marie and see if she's willing to do her part again.
Science of the Heart?
We're at this one. That was a video. I moved us in. We did that poll. We asked, what do you know about it? And then we went right into Science of the Heart, which were those questions right below there. It starts right out talking about that.
You see.
And then I moved into the coherence chapter 3, and then do a quick coherence. We actually did quick coherence. And then
But we did it with the video, didn't we?
Yep, we did it with the video.
We're
So that-
coming up on
15.
5:15. I'm sorry, for those of us in the Eastern time zone, for everyone else, quarter after. And so
We did strategies for addressing stress.
that was Marie's part. She did about the 3 strategies,
Well,
shift and
again, if I
reset.
can't do that, I could do that. But if, you know, again,
Yeah.
I don't have to do any part of it. This is fine. I could be your timekeeper and audience too.
You're just happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here.
And who did the power of practice? Because I had to get off the call.
I can't remember.
Maybe Steve just talked about it, because all that one
No.
is intended
Yeah.
to be is that if you practice this, it makes all the difference in the world. But
Yeah,
So can 11 and 12 kind of go together? It's
I think they did.
strategies, and one strategy is to keep on practicing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Putting those two together.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yep.
right.
and then what's the CTA dash?
I don't remember what CTA was, but
Call to
what
action.
Call to action.
Thank you. Thank you. That's been making me crazy. Yeah, Steve did that part for us. It was the,
Okay.
you know, the soft invitation.
Okay. And then the last thing is coming back to the call. We might have a homework assignment, Gail, which I can't get back right now to the agenda, but it was the question of how do you see us using that? Can you read that on the agenda?
Yeah, let me just find that again.
Let's everyone consider this. Do you have your pen? I have my.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to do the breakout? I mean, can everybody stay until
I'm not suggesting that we stay.
Oh.
I'm actually suggesting we do it as a homework assignment.
as a homework assignment? Yes.
Really,
Okay.
That way allows for a little more brainstorming, you know? And that's the question. Go ahead and give it, Gail.
How do you see using this approach intro format
Oh, I see it now.
yourself? How do you see using this approach / intro / format? So give that some thought, and I guess we can, how are we doing this, Judith?
I'm suggesting we come back with that. I'm suggesting 5:15 or
Yeah.
it was 5:14. We honor the time because we can,
Okay.
and come back with that as a homework assignment.
Okay. All right. So I guess there are, I mean, still other parts of this that we didn't assign, and so I'll circle back with the folks who did it before and see if any of them are willing to do it again or take on another part. And for those who have,
Elaine, you don't have to do that. Elaine, are you willing to do your part again?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yes.
I'm willing to do mine. Cheryl, are you willing to do yours?
Yeah, but I think Martin took it. Does you want a part of it, Martin?
Yep. Martin took it. Fine.
Whatever. I'm like Andrea, pleased to be here. My heart's still beating. It's fine.
Who's gonna do it?
Keep going.
All right, keep going, Cheryl, and you're gonna do it. And then
Okay.
with regard to Marie's, we don't know if she's coming back. And Andrea said she would do the strategies for stress. Heart focused breath. You want to do that one too, Andrea? That's cool. And then Andrea, you'll get the power of the practice in with the strategies for stress. And then we'll say, Steve, you're doing it.
did you mean Laura for the last part?
Oh, I didn't necessarily the power. No. Oh, the call for action.
So who did the power
The
of the practice?
strategies.
The strategies are Andrea. And we said Andrea would just put that practice, the power of the practice,
But
as
I
one.
thought Laura wanted to do that. So let Laura do the power of the practice. I'll just do reduce stress
Perfect, perfect.
Okay.
Laura's doing power of the
I
practice.
think the
Yep.
power of practice is in
I like
and
them
of itself.
I like them separate. I think it's really valuable. So,
Me
okay,
too.
cool. And then we'll tell Steve he has the last one and we're good. How about that, Gail?
Okay. Sounds
good.
good to me. We'll send out an email if I can read my notes that
Okay.
kind of confirms all this. Give us a little time if you don't mind.
Sure, sure.
If you'll put that on the spread. Oh,
Yeah, I'll be putting that spreadsheet together.
I just made the
Hey.
mistake of reading. I just made the mistake of reading from the old one again when I just did that. So I was reading from the old one, not the new one.
Okay, well, we can talk later.
All right.
It is, I think that we make a little run around the room here and just wrap things up.
Okay.
How you're feeling, how this is going, feedback from everybody. What does Steve usually do?
Yeah.
You know, Martin.
Appreciation.
Appreciate.
Yes, an appreciation round. Who
Yeah.
has anything they'd like to add before we go of the
Appreciate-
meeting? Where are you
I'm
feeling?
inspired. I'm inspired. It's gelling together. I mean, it's cohering together. Coherence is in the field. It's happening. It's happening. Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Neil.
Hi, I haven't had much to do with this, but I've just been listening intently. You're doing a great job. I'm preparing for a webinar. I was engaged to do a webinar for the government. And one of the things I'm doing, it's got to be 45 minutes, absolutely. And I've got to do polls and all sorts of things and practices. And so I've got a run sheet. And what I do is I sit down and I go, here are the sections, here are the points, and I time them and I do a trial recording. And the only thing I want to share is it's more about connecting and less about the content.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not talking about HeartMath. I'm talking about just some general stuff I do. So, and I've learned that over the last 4 years doing this stuff. It's more about how can I, less about the content and more about what's interesting to the people. So just listening to you guys, that's just something that come to mind. May be relevant, may not, but thank you for letting me join.
Thank you for joining us at whatever this god awful time is for you. Appreciate that. You're in Australia or New Zealand?
I'm in Australia, in Canberra, the capital.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. It's great to listen.
Anyone
Well,
else?
as a newbie in this group, I love you all. And I do feel like this is a better fit for me. I really was enjoying Lunch and Learn, but then they announced this week they were going back to the original 20 minutes, which I missed at the beginning. And I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So that just kind of happened. And I felt very uncomfortable with what the direction it was taking after. So this seems like this, and there's been some confusion between Lunch and Learn and here. And so this is really, I think, what I thought Lunch and Learn was going to be.
Okay.
So I really do appreciate
Welcome to the team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being on the call. I mean, that's
Yes.
my appreciation. Thank you for coming here and sharing your wisdom from the heart.
Well, and I'd like to appreciate the energy on this screen that comes through into my room here is just phenomenal. I can feel it. It's really, really powerful and uplifting.
Even without Steve?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
It did diminish a bit, but you know.
That's just in case he watches this.
Sexy attention.
And I love where it's going. Actually, I think we're gonna come out with something that's going to be a showcase that's to the homework point. Through the group, I guess we're going to find multiple outlets for the creation that comes out of this group as well. So that will spark all sorts of creativity with everyone else. So appreciate all of that from all of you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Just real quick, Neil, thank you for saying what you did, because you articulated so perfectly that it is less about the content and more about the connection. And I think everybody's personalities come out in however they deliver something. And for every person that connects with Cheryl or with anybody else, everybody has the ability to connect with somebody, and I'm not going to always connect with the same people Elaine's going to connect with, and vice versa. So so that was really great. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh,
And I
cool.
love
Thank
all
you.
you guys too.
Hey, just
Thank you
another
so
quick
much.
one.
Sure.
It's not just about the content, it's also about storytelling. So what I do, I worry less about the content. I pick a story that represents that content.
Yeah.
And the power of storytelling is amazing. So just a
That's
quick one.
excellent point. Really good point.
Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate your all of your input and for coming. Ruth, did you have something you wanted to
Well,
say?
I just love the openness of the group and their ability to make it safe for us to share. It's great.
Thanks. Glad you're here. Thanks, Judith.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
everybody.
Thank you.
So we will catch you next time in 2 weeks. There'll be a follow-up email and invitation. So
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank
all
you.
of you. Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.